He noticed a worker busy installing a new speed bump. Looking down from his horse, the Duke snapped, "What the fuck are you doing now?" For years, Prince Andrew has tried to keep up the polished royal image expected of him, but cameras often reveal what official statements can't hide. The scandal tied to Jeffrey Epstein, already damaging on its own, has pushed every part of Andrew's public behavior under a microscope. Over time, different recordings and eyewitness moments have shown a consistent pattern. Awkward encounters at public events, rude remarks caught on video, and flashes of anger all paint a picture the palace likely hoped would never surface. These 15 moments are now resurfacing online, each one offering a clearer view of how Andrew behaves when he thinks the world isn't paying attention. So what has the Duke really done behind the scenes? Let's begin. Number 15. Royal anger on display. This summer, Windsor Great Park became more than its usual peaceful landscape. It became the backdrop for Prince Andrew's now famous outburst. Dozens of black and yellow speed bumps had been placed throughout the massive 5,000-acre property, including one only a short distance from Andrew's front drive at Royal Lodge. These bumps were installed to slow down cars and protect visitors, simple safety measures. But instead of welcoming the changes, Andrew was furious. During a quiet horse ride through the park, he spotted a worker installing one of the new bumps. The moment he noticed the man, Andrew's calm disappeared. From atop his horse, he shouted sharply, "What the fuck are you doing now?" His tone, full of irritation and authority, startled the worker and created instant tension in the peaceful park. Witnesses exchanged uncomfortable looks. Social media exploded. And a place known for calm suddenly felt heated and uncertain. People familiar with Andrew weren't shocked. They said this matched many earlier moments where he skipped diplomacy and went straight to blunt or rude comments. Still, seeing him lose patience so openly over a simple speed bump offered a rare, unfiltered look into his personality. If something this small can trigger such anger, what pressures or behaviors lie underneath? Stay tuned. Number 14. Andrew's shortcut rage prince. Andrew's frustration with rules didn't stop at speed bumps. In 2016, he reportedly clashed with technology at Windsor Great Park in another dramatic moment that made headlines. The park uses sensor-controlled gates to manage traffic flow. On one Sunday evening, instead of following a 1-mile detour that would lead him home, Andrew allegedly drove his Range Rover straight through the gates, damaging them in the process. The sensors weren't working correctly, but rather than wait or take the longer route, he forced his vehicle through. The incident quickly caused public backlash. Both Buckingham Palace and the Crown Estate refused to comment, adding even more tension. Soon after, Graham Smith, head of the Republic Group, which campaigns for an elected head of state, filed an official report with police demanding Andrew be treated like any other citizen. But the police said they had too little information to move forward, causing even more frustration among critics. A park worker later described what happened. When the gate didn't open, Andrew became irritated and simply rammed his way through instead of driving the extra mile. It wasn't just impatience, it showed a willingness to ignore rules when they inconvenienced him. People began asking, is there really one set of rules for the public and another for the royals? Or does Andrew simply lose his temper whenever something slows him down? And if he reacts this strongly over a detour, what will the next incident reveal? Keep watching. Number 13. Tempers, tantrums, and staff mistreatment. Prince Andrew's impatience didn't end with gates and speed bumps. Staff at Royal Lodge have described more moments where he lost his temper over small issues. One such incident occurred a few years ago when Andrew exploded at his female gardener. She and her team were caring for freshly planted saplings when Andrew stormed out of his home demanding, "What have you done?" Witnesses said he yelled far more than the situation deserved and left the gardener visibly upset, even though no one had made a mistake. This happened during a stressful time for the Duke. He had just been served legal documents from Virginia Giuffre, who accused him of sexual abuse connected to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The papers were first delivered to Royal Lodge in August, then again to his lawyer in Los Angeles weeks later. Andrew denied all allegations, but the legal pressure was intense. Still, palace insiders said stress did not excuse the way he treated staff. They pointed to his earlier behavior, like ordering a maid to run upstairs to close curtains while he sat nearby, as another example of his entitled attitude. The gardener, once part of the Queen's trusted team, eventually stopped working at Royal Lodge, though she continued her job elsewhere. Whether it was saplings, curtains, or routine staff duties, Andrew often showed the same pattern: anger, blame, and a lack of respect. So if such small issues can spark this level of fury, what else is hiding beneath the surface? Number 12. Curtains, commands, and a royal temper prince. Andrew's short temper didn't stop at gardens or driveways. It followed him inside his home as well. His former maid, Charlotte Briggs, shared that even the smallest household tasks could set him off. When Charlotte was just 21, she was ordered to climb 4 flights of stairs to close a heavy pair of curtains, even though Andrew was sitting only a few feet away from them. She did as instructed, but left a tiny gap between the drapes. That small mistake triggered a harsh outburst. Andrew yelled, "Can't you fucking do anything right?" His tone was sharp and humiliating, leaving her in tears. She later told The Sun that although Andrew once served in the Falklands War, he acted as if he couldn't handle something as simple as closing curtains himself. Instead, he used his authority to belittle staff over trivial matters. Other workers at Royal Lodge described a similar atmosphere, one where they constantly feared another sudden burst of anger. His temper wasn't occasional. It was something staff learned to anticipate. From shouting about saplings to berating employees over small chores, Andrew's sense of superiority became a noticeable pattern. And if something as small as curtains could push him over the edge, what would happen the next time someone misplaced an object? Stay tuned. Number 11. Flying off the handle. Prince Andrew's anger didn't end with maids. Security staff, protection officers, and gate workers also described frequent verbal explosions, often triggered by tiny delays. If a gate didn't open fast enough, or if an officer hesitated for just a moment, Andrew would erupt, shouting insults, swearing, and calling them names like fucking buffoons. Many said he used his authority to yell from the safety of his car window, making the humiliation public and difficult to ignore. For staff who were tasked with safeguarding his life, it created an uncomfortable and stressful environment. Protection officers said that even the smallest mistake could set him off. Waiting a few seconds too long, asking a question he didn't like, or failing to react instantly could lead to another outburst. Several employees filed complaints, but royal hierarchies made it hard for anything to change. Staff felt trapped, unwilling to speak up but unable to avoid his temper. This pattern, quick anger, harsh words, and no accountability, mirrored the other stories coming from Royal Lodge. Whether dealing with gardeners, maids, or security personnel, Andrew seemed ready to lash out at anyone nearby. And if this is how he treated his own team, what happened when he was placed in global positions of influence? Let's move on. Number 10. Power, privilege, and controversy. Prince Andrew's public role expanded far beyond his home. In 2001, he was appointed the UK's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment, a position many believed he wasn't suited for. As the face of British trade, he attended international meetings, representing the UK in business and diplomacy. But controversy grew quickly, especially around his involvement with arms sales to authoritarian regimes. His job was supposed to be about promoting trade, not endorsing political deals. Yet his presence at events that supported the sale of weapons to governments with poor human rights records raised serious concern. Critics questioned why a royal with no political experience had such influence in sensitive global matters. Many argued that these activities blurred the lines between ceremonial duty and political involvement, which royals are traditionally expected to avoid. At the same time, Andrew's behavior behind the scenes, his impatience, arrogance, and outbursts continued to surface. The stories from Royal Lodge, whether about shouting at staff or losing his temper over small mistakes, echoed in the international arena. His conduct suggested a man used to power, who expected everything to bend in his favor. From private rudeness to public controversy, Andrew's actions painted a picture of someone who acted first and considered consequences later. And when combined with his personal associations, the pattern only grew more troubling. Number 9. Controversial appointments and questionable connections. Prince Andrew's involvement in institutions and relationships continued to raise questions. In 2013, he was elected as a Fellow of the Royal Society, one of the UK's most respected scientific organizations. The issue? He had no scientific background. His education consisted of A-levels in history, English, and economics, and he never attended university. He joined the Royal Navy instead. Many members were outraged. Some even tried to challenge his appointment, arguing that royal privilege had overridden merit. But the title remained. His decade-long role as a trade envoy created more controversy. Andrew built close ties with controversial leaders, including Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, who has long been accused of corruption and human rights abuses. Andrew's royal status gave him special access, raising concerns about how that influence was being used. He was also linked to figures in Libya and Tunisia during politically unstable times, sparking debate over whether he understood the political risks or simply used the trips for luxury travel at public expense. Across all these issues, teddy bears, staff outbursts, trade deals, and questionable friendships, one recurring theme stood out: a royal who acted with entitlement, impatience, and little awareness of consequences. And as the stories continued, even more unusual and unsettling behaviors were revealed next. Number 8. Massages, teddy bears, and royal outbursts. Prince Andrew's unpredictable behavior extended into more private areas of his life as well. A masseuse who briefly worked with him revealed that he insisted on being completely naked during sessions held only in his bedroom. She said he asked inappropriate questions about her sexual history and behaved like a constant pest. She rejected his advances until the appointments finally stopped. But the strange habits didn't end there. Andrew owned a massive collection of stuffed animals, teddy bears, and various plush toys, reportedly numbering in the hundreds. What seemed like a harmless hobby became another source of stress for staff. Maids explained that he would scream at them if even one toy was out of place. Every bear had to be arranged perfectly to avoid his anger. His toy collection later gained renewed attention after the Netflix film Scoop highlighted his obsessive behavior and tied it to his notorious BBC interview. Whether it was staff, masseuses, or household arrangements, Andrew showed a repeated pattern: controlling behavior, impatience, and a disregard for others' boundaries. And as we move forward, his friendships reveal something even more alarming. Number 7. Dangerous alliances. Prince Andrew's concerning behavior didn't stop with staff outbursts or strange habits. It extended into the people he chose to surround himself with, most notably Jeffrey Epstein. By 2011, Andrew's close friendship with Epstein had become public knowledge. Epstein had already been convicted in 2008 for sex crimes, yet Andrew continued to spend time with him. This decision raised serious questions about Andrew's judgment and awareness. Observers compared Epstein to notorious predators like Jimmy Savile, emphasizing how dangerous and manipulative he was. But even with years of allegations surrounding Epstein, Andrew attended his events and was seen in his social circle. He even appeared at Epstein's daughter's 18th birthday party. For more than a decade, lawyers pursued the Duke for answers about his ties to Epstein and the claims connected to Virginia Giuffre. Andrew maintained his public presence alongside Epstein, despite the growing pressure and troubling accusations. Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, who has lived with him since 2014, publicly defended him. She astonishingly suggested that he should just stop going to Epstein's private island, as if the issue were merely bad optics rather than the serious criminal activity linked to the location. All these details fit a larger pattern. Whether dealing with servants, diplomats, or controversial figures, Andrew consistently showed poor boundaries, risky judgment, and a sense that normal rules did not apply to him. And then came the moment that would solidify his public downfall: the BBC interview that the whole world watched. Number 6. The Pizza Express alibi and the Newsnight disaster. Prince Andrew's troubles reached a breaking point after Epstein's death in 2019. Pressure mounted for him to address his connection to Epstein and the accusations made by Virginia Giuffre. In response, he agreed to an interview with Emily Maitlis on BBC's Newsnight. What was meant to clear his name turned into one of the most disastrous interviews in royal history. Maitlis asked direct questions about his friendship with Epstein and Giuffre's claims. Instead of offering clear answers, Andrew gave explanations that the public found unbelievable. He insisted he could not have been in London on the night Giuffre accused him of assault because he was supposedly at a children's birthday party at a Pizza Express in Woking. The excuse instantly became a global punchline. He also claimed he had a medical condition that prevented him from sweating, intending to explain why he appeared sweaty in photos taken with Giuffre. The statement raised even more doubts. The interview mirrored the same traits seen behind closed doors: avoidance, denial, and a belief that he could talk his way out of anything. Just as he shouted at staff for minor issues, he handled huge allegations with the same dismissiveness, showing little empathy or accountability. The interview damaged Andrew's reputation permanently, and yet the controversies continued. Number 5. Alpine ambitions and royal privilege beyond scandals and interviews, Andrew's personal spending choices highlighted more issues with entitlement. In 2014, he and Sarah Ferguson, despite being divorced, purchased a $13 million ski chalet in Switzerland. The purchase alone raised questions, but it became even more controversial when reports claimed that Andrew struggled to pay his $5 million share. The chalet's owner eventually lowered the debt, believing the couple were having financial difficulties. But only a short time later, Sarah Ferguson bought a $5 million home in London's Mayfair, raising eyebrows. There were rumors that Andrew even thought about asking Queen Elizabeth II to help pay the chalet debt, though that idea was never acted on. This episode showed another side of Andrew's mindset: lavish spending, poor planning, and reliance on royal privilege to fix problems. From stuffed animals to global business affairs, the same theme appeared. Andrew expected the world to adjust for him, not the other way around. Number 4. Loans, luxury, and royal connections. Prince Andrew's financial relationships also raised concerns. His close friend David Rowland, a wealthy developer, managed much of Andrew's finances through Bank Haviland in Luxembourg, a bank known for operating in low-tax jurisdictions. With Andrew's royal name as a tool of influence, Rowland reportedly used their friendship to bring in high-profile clients, arranging meetings with politicians and business leaders around the world. Andrew borrowed millions from Rowland's bank over the years, creating a web of financial ties that blurred the line between royal privilege and private interest. Rowland also had connections to controversial political figures, including people linked to Colonel Gaddafi. These relationships made many question how deeply Andrew had mixed personal life, royal status, and financial advantage. Combined with his history of temper, entitlement, and questionable judgment, these financial dealings added yet another layer to the growing list of concerns surrounding the Duke. Number 3. A pattern that reveals the man behind the title. As more stories surfaced, a consistent picture began to form. Andrew's temper wasn't limited to stressful moments. It appeared in everyday interactions that should have required empathy, not cruelty. One former maid, Charlotte Briggs, shared a disturbing memory from 1996. Andrew's small Norfolk Terrier, Bendix, bit her leg after being startled by a vacuum cleaner. The bite tore her tights and caused swelling bad enough that she needed a tetanus shot. Instead of showing concern, Andrew laughed. He found it amusing even as she stood there, hurt. Another acquaintance recalled Andrew making an inappropriate remark to a pregnant woman, then laughing uncontrollably like a child while she stood shocked. These were not isolated moments. They were part of a long line of incidents that showed disrespect, immaturity, and a lack of empathy. Publicly, Sarah Ferguson insisted he was the best man in the world, but the growing number of accounts painted a very different picture, and there was still more to uncover. Number 2, the trip that exposed his true temper. In 2011, while still serving as the UK's trade representative, Andrew traveled to the United States. His role required diplomacy and professionalism, but according to staff who worked with him, the trip showed the complete opposite. Embassy teams described a man who snapped at minor problems. A small scheduling change? He yelled. A delayed car? He scolded the staff. Anything that didn't meet his expectations became an excuse for anger. Workers said this wasn't an occasional bad mood. This was how he communicated with people. He acted like a storm moving through the building, leaving discomfort wherever he went. When these stories leaked, the criticism was harsh. Many questioned how someone with such a short fuse could represent the UK on the global stage. Inside palace circles, the damage was clear, and another piece of Andrew's reputation crumbled. Yet these moments still weren't the full story. Number 1. The pattern of disrespect behind the royal mask. What happened in the United States wasn't unusual for Andrew. It matched what royal staff had quietly described for years. Beneath the royal titles, medals, and formal speeches was a man who responded first with irritation, not respect. Gardeners said that a few leaves in the wrong place could trigger shouting. Drivers shared that being stuck in traffic, even for a few minutes, could provoke a rage so intense the entire vehicle fell silent. Helpers said they often felt like human punching bags, absorbing his moods with no ability to respond. This wasn't an occasional slip. It was a pattern repeated across homes, countries, and decades. Each new story, each leaked account, added to a larger truth. Behind the polished exterior was a prince who struggled with basic respect and self-control. And with more insiders speaking up, many wondered how many untold stories were still hidden within palace walls.